Okay, hi everybody, this is Mr. Manning, and this video is going to be about doing an accounts receivable subsidiary ledger. So this is very similar to doing an accounts payable subsidiary ledger. In fact, I would strongly recommend that you watch the video about accounts payable subsidiary ledgers before you do this, because in this video I am going to go a little bit faster and skip over some of the details that I went through in the accounts payable one. So if you have not watched the accounts payable one, do that first and then come back to this video. Okay, so just like we did in the accounts payable subsidiary ledger, we are going through all of our special journals. So we have purchases, cash payments, sales, cash receipts, and general journal. We're going to go through all of our special journals, and we are looking for transactions that have something to do with accounts receivable. When we find those transactions, we are going to record them into the accounts receivable subsidiary ledgers. In fact, all of our companies that we are doing business with, that we have accounts with, will be listed here under the vendor section, and then we will assign all of them a number. So let's go through all the special journals and see which ones have something to do with accounts receivable. So the first one I am looking at is purchases, and purchases only has two accounts: purchases debit, accounts payable credit. There is no accounts receivable, so we don't even need to look at the purchases journal for this. Cash payments. I don't see anything over here about accounts receivable. Here's accounts payable, but no accounts receivable, so we also don't need to look at cash payments. Now here's our sales journal, and I am noticing an accounts receivable debit. So we have 6 transactions, and all 6 of them have an accounts receivable transaction. So let's start here. We're going to record all of these transactions into our accounts receivable subsidiary ledger. All right, so we're going to start with Southwest Community Club. We need to give each of our businesses a ledger. So Southwest Community Club. And we need to assign them a number. So the number needs to be 4 digits long, and it needs to start with a 1. And that's the only stipulations. So I'm going to give them the number 1310. All right, and then we also have Children's Center. And I'm going to give them 1320. Scrolling down a little bit. Eastman Sports Arena, 1330. And finally, the Maple Tree Club, 1340. All right. So we're going to go through all of our transactions. We're going to record the date that it happened. We're going to record under the correct account, and that it's a accounts receivable debit for this amount. So let's start with Southwest Community Center. That transaction took place on October 6th. The post reference is the fact that it came from sales journal number 9, and here it says page 9. So I'm going to put S9. And this is a debit of $3,001. We don't have any credit transactions yet, so that is also our current balance. All right, moving down to the next one, we have a transaction on October 9th for Children's Center. Also, again, it's S9. Remember, I am getting this from right here on the sales journal. And this one is a debit of $1,755, and that is also our balance. Okay, at this point, I'm going to quickly pause the video and fill in the rest of the transactions from the sales. Okay, and we're back, and you can see that I have recorded all 6 transactions from the sales journal. So on all of them, I put that it was post-reference S9 for sales journal page 9. They were all debit transactions, and I have updated all of their balances. So now I'm going to go over to cash receipts, and I'm going to see if there's any transactions in cash receipts that has anything to do with accounts receivable. And I am noticing right here it says accounts receivable credit. And I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 transactions. Remember, just like we did in accounts payable, if there is a blank here, you do not need to record it. So we are going to be able to skip some of these transactions. All right, so let's start with October 11th, Children's Center, a credit of $1,200. So I'm going to go up to Children's Center, October 11th. This is the cash receipts journal, and it is page 4. So I'm going to put CR4. And this one is a credit for $1,200. So now I need to update my balance. I had a debit balance. I just recorded a credit transaction, so I need to subtract these two to find my new balance. So I'm just going to do a quick equation here. Back over to the cash receipts. On October 12th, we did a credit of $21.50 for Southwest Community Club. So let's go up to them. October 12th. Cash receipts 4. Credit transaction of $21.50. And debit balance, credit transaction, we subtract. All right, I'm going to go ahead and record the other 3 now. Okay, and now we're back, and you can see that I have recorded the rest of the cash receipts transactions. I got all of those transactions from the cash receipts journal in this column right here because it's accounts receivable and they were all credit transactions. And you can see that I also updated the balances for each account because they were credit transactions and debit balances. I subtracted them to get my new balance. So here is where we currently stand. All right, now, last but not least, the general journal. We are looking for transactions that have something to do with accounts receivable. Here is one on October 16th for the Children's Center. Looks like it's a credit for $324. So I'm going to go ahead and record that one for the Children's Center. That was on October 16th. Now, on this one, you might put returned in the item section. It could help just you remember why that transaction took place. Also, I am putting G10 for General Journal, page 10. If you want to put GJ10, that would also be fine. And this is a credit of $324, so I am going to subtract the debit and the credit to get my new balance. Scrolling down a little bit, here's a transaction for accounts payable. I am not interested in accounts payable. I only want to do accounts receivable, so I'm going to skip this one. Going down a little bit further, and here is one more transaction for accounts receivable, Maple Tree Club, a credit of $702. So I'm going to go ahead and record that one as well. And that one happened on the 28th. It was also returned, G10 because of General Journal, page 10, a credit of $702. And I'm going to take my debit balance and I'm going to subtract the credit transaction to get the new balance. Okay, so I have now recorded all of the transactions that have something to do with accounts receivable. My final step is to set up my schedule of accounts receivable. My schedule is just simply a list of all of the accounts receivable accounts and their current balances. So up at the top, you put the company's name. I never told you guys the company's name, so we are just going to put a general one here. This is a schedule of accounts receivable. And you always create this on the last day of the month. So since this is October, the last day of the month is the 31st, Halloween. All right, and I am going to put all of the account numbers along with their names. So account 1310 was Southwest Community Club. Account 1320 was the Children's Center. Account 1330 is Eastman Sports Arena. And account 1340 is the Maple Tree Club. All right, now I need to record their current balances. So that would be the last balance in the account. So Southwest Community Club is $716. The Children's Center is $231. Eastman Sports Arena is $0. And then finally the Maple Tree Club is $1437. And you can see where I got those numbers at. All right, and then the very last thing is you total this up. So we are going to write an equation that adds up all four of these numbers. The reason I'm doing this is this final total number. I'm going to make it yellow just so it's easy to see. This final total number is the number that will go into our worksheet and other accounting documents. All right, guys, that is how you do an accounts receivable subsidiary ledger and a schedule of accounts receivable. Thank you.